The teller. The teller. The teller.
It's another day. Left jab, right jab. This is MMA. Mixed martial arts, quick body parts, undefeated when I pick 'em. Who the champ, who the victim? Looking in my crystal ball, I predict the winner. Never stop fighting. If you lose, keep your chin up. Know how the game go. I'm a smart fella. Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We got UFC 252. We got the trilogy, Daniel Cormier taking on Stipe Miocic. And this fight right here, I would say I'm looking more forward to this fight than any fights we've had in a long time. This is a really big fight for me. As far as I'm concerned, this is to officially say who is the best heavyweight fighter of all time and who is till today the baddest man on the planet. And I think those are some big titles there. So there's a lot weighing in on this fight. So I'm super excited for it. Of course, the card is pretty stacked as well, man. We got some solid fights, as I'm sure a lot of you guys already know. Sugar Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon, Chito Vera in the co-main event spot. JDS looking to make a resurgence in his career against the knockout artist and Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. Merab Dvalishvili taking on John Dodson. It's a good test for him. I mean, we can go up and down this entire fight card, man. There's some solid fights here. Magomed and Ankalaev having the rematch with Cutelaba. The first fight was balls to the wall right away, right from the start. Jim Miller, talk about resurgence of your career, man. Jim Miller has been going out there handling business. Has a tough test ahead of him, and Vinc Pichel. And then, we got some other solid fights here, man. Some up-and-comers. We're going to talk about all these fights. You guys know the routine. We got to take a look back at this previous weekend's card. We had Derek Lewis, who took on Alexei Oleinik. We'll start at the bottom. We'll work our way up. And also, we did have a Bellator card as well, right? I actually had a play. I had a 3-unit play on Michael Chandler that came through. So the weekend started off in a great way with Chandler getting that first-round knockout. Shout out to Michael Chandler. In regards to the Bellator card, Matt Mitrione, he got worked. I know he got caught with that headbutt, and then he just got destroyed by Tim over there. Miles Jury won a closely contested bout. And what else? There was another fight in the Bellator card, too. Oh yeah, what's his name? The Sleek Sheik had a major upset on Curtis Millender, and I told you guys, run the tape back in my Bellator breakdown. I said there's a possibility Curtis, gets taken down and controlled. That had to be the game plan for the Sleek Sheik. So shout out to him, man. Working with top team, they had the right game plan and they won that fight. And there was a lot of value on him. Anyone that touched Curtis at that line, I don't know what you guys were thinking, but onto the UFC card, Erwin Rivera, he did win the split decision victory. It was a closely contested bout. Very entertaining fight. Yusuf Zalal, which was one of my first plays. I had a parlay with Yusuf Zalal and Kevin Holland. So Zalal just completely outclassed him. Gavin Tucker, man, he almost got finished in the first round. Got dropped, came back strong, looked really good towards the end of that fight. Took out Justin James. Andrew Sanchez, man, wow. What a knockout that was against Wellington Turman. Kind of derailed that hype that Turman had. Nasrat looked amazing in that fight. Got taken down early by Alex Munoz, but didn't mean anything, man. He got back up and he just put a clinic on Munoz. Kevin Holland came through, closed out that parlay for me, man. Just got the knockout on the newcomer Buckley and just looked amazing out there. Tim Means, I picked him to win the fight. Small play, but no official action on him. And I thought he was the guy to pick there, man. The crafty veteran with a lot more professional bouts, who's very underrated in my opinion. If you don't knock Tim Means out, good luck beating him in a decision. But Neil Dariush looked amazing. Looked really good out there. Yana looked good, just pretty much dominated Joji. And Darren Stewart, 5-unit play on Darren Stewart, my biggest play of the night. Came through in an amazing way, man. Pulled off that guillotine. And I thought that was his fight all day. I probably should have even threw more than 5 units. I had a lot of money on him. 5 units is a lot for me. So I probably should have made it a 6-7 unit play. I felt so good about that fight. I thought, of course, he had the edge as far as the striking goes too. I know Maki can throw down too, but I'll take Darren Stewart on the feet all day. And then I thought he was a little bit more well-rounded too. We saw what Maki did in his UFC debut. It didn't look that good. So how about Chris Weidman? Shout out to Chris Weidman. I did have a very small play on Omar Ankalaev. I thought I had good value on it. He was a minus 300 on the live going into the third round. I thought I had that bet, ready to cash. And Chris Weidman dug deep, took the third round. And shout out to Chris Weidman. I'm happy for him. Maybe we see him get another fight with Luke Rockhold. I would love to see that, man. How about a fight with Luke Rockhold? Let's push for that, man. MMA community. I think that'd be an amazing fight. We'll run the clock back. And then Derek Lewis gets the knockout in the second round against Alexei Oleinik. Alexei Oleinik looked good. And Derek Lewis said it himself, man. That choke was tight, that bulldog choke. And I thought, if Alexei Oleinik could have avoided that knockout, he would have definitely took over in the later rounds. I mean, of course, Lewis can always knock you out, but I wanted to see Lewis get more tired. I did have a small play on Alexei Oleinik. I locked him in way, way earlier. I got him as good as plus 230. Nevertheless, it's a lost bet, but I thought there was some value there, man. I saw the line dropped big time. Before the fight, he was like a plus 150, 160. I got him at plus 230. It was just, it was a little jab I put out there trying to cash on some value, and it is what it is. Overall, it was slightly a profitable weekend, so it was a good weekend for me, but not happy, man, that ending it with two losses like that, where I had two dogs that could have both cashed, in my opinion. More the Omari Akhmedov really dropped the ball. But now we move to the next card. It's going to be another good weekend. And yeah, we got the lines over here. We'll be bouncing back and forth, peeping on these lines. And here's the card, man. Stipe Miocic taking on Daniel Cormier. Before we get into this fight card, please like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you guys haven't already. And if we get this video to 500 likes, I will throw out a free play for you guys. If we can reach 500 likes, I don't see any reason why we can't do that. All you guys got to do is hit that like button. We should have, at least 5, 6, 7,000 people watching this video. Hit like on this video. I'll throw out a bone to you guys, man. I'll give a free play. And this card, I feel very, very good about. I feel very good about this card. There's plays galore, in my opinion. And if you're interested in my plays, message me on Instagram, MMAFortuneteller_. Go follow me over there. You can catch me on my email too, MMAFortuneteller@gmail.com. And I also have Twitter, if none of those other two work for you. I'm not on there as much, but the MMA Teller over there on Twitter. So let's get into this fight card. First fight, we got Christopher Daukaus taking on Parker Porter. Two guys making their UFC debuts. Christopher Daukaus is the brother of Kyle Daukaus, a guy that we just saw who has some really, really high-level BJJ. We saw him in a very closely contested match with Brendan Allen, who I'm very high on. If you guys don't know Christopher Daukaus' story, he is a cop. He's a tough dude. After college, he bumped into this gym over there, and I think it was in Philadelphia, where he started training. So I guess he started training right around 23 or whatnot. And even though the dude's, he's a big boy, man, weighing in around 256. He's actually pretty nimble from what I've seen from him on tape. He has some good footwork. He's pretty light on his feet. Not overly impressed with him, nor am I overly impressed with Parker Porter. But Christopher Daukaus' story seems pretty cool. You see him here with his brother Kyle. Says family business. Most of what I've been seeing from Chris has been on the feet as well. So kind of eager to see what he brings to the table in regards to his grappling, because if his brother has such high level grappling, they're getting the same type of training. And I know they're different bodies. They have different bodies and they're different physiques. So I don't know how much time they really put together on the mat, but I'm sure he's learning something from his brother. See him over here, man. He's a big boy. I would like to see this guy come in a little better shape from what I see from him. I mean, you see him here. He's doing some work. It looks like doing his cardio, but carries a lot of extra weight on his stomach and whatnot. Take a look at his opponent here. Show you guys a little clip of Parker Porter. It does seem like he has heavy hands. I saw a couple other of his videos as well, and does seem like it seems like he has heavy hands. Kind of slow though. He's 10-5. He's a big boy, that's for sure. He's cutting weight to make the heavyweight limit. He's a big boy. He's only 6 foot, and he's still carrying all that weight. So he's a very thick dude, right? As that one meme always says, or how's it go? He thick. But like I said, man, carries power in his hands. You know, has a couple knockouts here and there. Not the most impressive resume. I saw this fight against Gabriel Gonzaga. He got finished in the 3rd round. You know, it looked like he was, you know, not on the level of Gabriel, you know, a classic veteran of the game. Actually has a bout against John Jones way back in the day. He got knocked out in the 1st round. And yeah, not overly impressed with either of these guys. I don't feel really confident picking either of them. You take a look at the line. Parker Porter's the slight favorite. I think you can go either way on this fight. I think the value's on Daukaus. I wouldn't feel extremely confident taking Porter here. And I think it's more of a coin flip type of fight. So the value's on Daukaus. I'm still going to put some time into it. I make my final decisions. You know, check me out on Instagram to see what my pick is, you know, fight day. But I might be picking Daukaus to win this fight, and that's probably where the value is. But Porter does carry power. All right. I'm really excited to touch upon some of these fights. I'm telling you guys, man, we got some solid fights coming up here. And the next fight, this is an interesting bout here. TJ Brown taking on Danny Chavez, the Colombian warrior, training down a little bit south of me over here at MMA Masters. It's a solid gym. He's one of the coaches over there. TJ Brown, he's a guy that you guys know came from Dana White's Contender Series, has a very strong wrestling pedigree, and he's kind of what I like to call the poor man's war machine. He kind of reminds me of watching John Copenhagen, you know, the war machine out there. He kind of has that look with the mullet and everything. Makes me sad when I watch TJ Brown fight because I was a big War Machine fan up until he, you know, completely lost his mind and fell off the tracks. But, you know, he has that type of look. I would have loved to have seen War Machine's career play out, just to touch upon that. But TJ Brown is a guy, he, like I said, man, a very heavy wrestler, man. This guy is relentless with the grappling. Coming in at a 205. This guy, Danny Chavez, I'm actually very impressed from what I've seen from him on the feet. It's very hard to get a lot of footage on this guy. There's very limited footage out there, but the guy is very skilled on the feet from what I've seen. I really pried into this fight. I did a lot of research into this fight. The one thing that kind of scared me is I just saw an interview with Danny Chavez, and he's been talking about how he really hasn't been able to work on his wrestling with the COVID situation, but he's still in there training with his striking. You know, that's one thing as a coach. He wants all his students to come in and they could still do certain things, you know, at a bay, you know, keeping their space from each other. And that kind of worries me that he's not training his grappling like that, because TJ Brown's a guy that's going to keep charging you, keep going in for takedowns. And I think Danny Chavez is going to have the edge in the feet all day. Beautiful leg kicks. Watch the calf kicks. Watch the head kicks. He can easily knock TJ Brown out here. But if he doesn't get that knockout, and like I said, hasn't really been able to work on his wrestling, supposedly, you know, be careful with TJ Brown just grinding him, winning those grappling exchanges, and pulling off the victory. And we'll pull up. This was TJ Brown making his Dana White's Contender Series debut, and that was a fight that he got hurt. He got hurt in the first round early in the fight, but he kept pushing the pace, and he ended up, I believe he pulled off the arm triangle, and you know, he just kept pushing, man, and he's a relentless dude. So, you know, yeah, he did pull off an arm triangle choke in that fight, and this dude looked good over here, Dylan Locklear. Take a look at Danny Chavez. Like I said, man, training over there at MMA Masters. You know, he's a tough customer, man. You know, one of his main training partners is Miguel Baeza. You guys know him high, Miguel Baeza. I had a major play on him not too long ago to beat Matt Brown, and I think that guy, you know, sky's the limit with him. Another guy, beautiful calf kicks. You're going to see something very similar from this guy here. So, but like I said, you have to be careful about what's going to go down with the grappling. So, I'm gonna be leaning towards TJ Brown right now to win this fight. I'm gonna see how the week transpires too. This is another fight. There's not a lot of information out there on this guy Danny, and I'm gonna be prying all week, so things can change here. Like I said, the best way to keep up to date with what my pick's gonna be is follow me on Instagram, because I can update you guys and you guys can see my pick up to date. Or if you're working with me, you know, you get all my information every day, what I'm seeing. If you know any questions you guys have, you can reach out to me. And but right now there's more research that needs to be done in this fight, and I'm waiting for some things to leak. I want to see some things come out. You know, we'll see the weigh-ins. We'll keep an eye on the line. So this is a fight that can go either way. So all right. Getting to another fight here. We got some ladies throwing down. Felice Herrig taking on Virna, Jandiroba. You guys are familiar with both these chicks. And, Jandiroba, excellent BJJ, always pulling off subs out there. She's working on her stand-up game too. 15-1, coming in as a moderate favorite. I consider that a pretty heavy favorite, right around -280. Felice Herrig, you guys know the deal with Felice Herrig, one of the OGs in the game, the little bulldog, coming off 2 losses to Michelle Waterson and Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and that was back. That was actually a major play of mine, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. That was she was a different fighter back then. You know, she's came a long way. She's not the same. She's probably on the edge of retirement. Michelle Waterson, you guys have seen, man, a perennial underrated fighter in my opinion. She's very skilled, and now she's taken on Virna. This could be 3 losses in a row here. I think that Felice Herrig has the potential to stuff the takedowns and win the striking exchanges. Felice Herrig is she always comes in very fit. You know, you see how she looks, since day one, since way back in the day, man. She's always been very fit. The cardio's there. She has decent boxing. But I think if Virna can get this fight down to the mat, I could see her pulling off something like this. This is what she did in her last fight against the very tough customer too. That was that high school. She was a fighter that was a high school wrestler, Mallory Martin. She was very tough. She looked good on Dana White's Contender Series. I'm pretty high in this girl, and she went out there and got subbed by Virna. So Virna goes out there and she handles business, man. I'm telling you guys. See Virna here. Let's see what else she's done. I mean, she lost the decision to Carla Esparza, but you know what the deal with Carla Esparza is, man. She gets those takedowns. She tries to hold you and eke out those decisions. But other than that, I mean, she's been handling business. And Virna is the way to go. I mean, as far as a pick goes, in my opinion, it's gonna be hard for me to pick Felice Herrig here. I do think that the line is high, though. I really do think that the line is high. Take a look at the line over here. Felice Herrig, you can get Felice around +255. I mean, I think the value is more so on Felice. If she's able to stuff those takedowns and use her boxing, a women's fight in the lighter weight divisions, there's, a lot of those fights play out closely on the feet. Could be a little pitter patter back and forth if she could stuff the takedown. And we'll stay tuned and we'll see how that fight transpires. But, I can't pick Felice to win the fight outright. I just can't. Now in this next fight, we got Herbert Burns taking on Daniel Pineda. Herbert Burns has really been proving himself as of recently, big time. He's a guy that, coming off the Dana White's Contender Series, I knew that he had high caliber jiu-jitsu, but I wasn't completely sold on him as far as the striking goes and his overall MMA game. But the more I watch him fight, I don't know, man. This guy, he seems like he might be the real deal. Let's take a look at what he's been doing recently. Of course, the brother of Gilbert Burns, the guy who's fighting for the welterweight championship next against Kamaru Usman. If you guys don't know about Gilbert Burns, he's coming off a rear naked choke finish of Evan Dunham, where he completely outclassed him in that fight. Took out Nate Landwehr, knocked him out in that fight, looked amazing. The Derek Minner fight, that was a fight that he started off a little slow, and then he ended up getting that triangle choke anyway. But the dude is tough, man. The dude is tough. His opponent, Daniel Pineda, very familiar with him. Used to fight over in Bellator. I've seen him scrap in Bellator for a while. Also fought over for PFL. Tough dude. Not really overly impressed with him. You see he has a loss here against Georgi Karakhanyan, who we just saw fight against Miles Jury. Georgie's a tough customer, but, that's a fight you want to see him go out there and take. Emmanuel Sanchez, tough dude. Lost us to Diego Brandao back in the day in the UFC, in his first stint in the UFC. So, he's been around the block, man. He's really been around the block. Lost to Mike Brown. I'm sure a lot of you guys were familiar with that fight as well. And, Daniel Pineda, man, he's a tough customer. 35 years old. This is his last chance inside the octagon to do something, in the UFC. I got Herbert Burns here all day. You see him here. This is where he got the finish of Nate Landwehr. And Herbert Burns is just so skilled, man. If this fight touches the mat, I mean, he could easily pull off the submission. I think I even give Herbert Burns the edge on the feet. He's been looking good on the feet. I think it's evolving every day. You know who he's working with. You know who his brother's working with. So the striking is just getting better and better. I don't even want to keep saying the guy's name. I talk about him every breakdown video. And, he helped deliver me some money this past weekend, with Michael Chandler getting the knockout. In regards, I guess I am going to say his name. Fuck it. Henry Hooft, man. One of the best I know you guys are probably getting tired of me talking about him, but I think he's one of the best MMA striking coaches in the game. And you know, Herbert Burns has put time with him. I don't know exactly how much time, but I know he's part of that whole same clique, man. And all their striking is really coming around. And the BJJ is beautiful, man. So Herbert Burns is definitely the pick here. You know, can't pick him. In regards to Daniel Pineda, man, I can't pick him here, but you can get him at a good line if you're interested, man. If you feel confident in Daniel Pineda, you can get 2 to 1 odds. Maybe you feel that he could pull off something similar to what Derek Minner did in the beginning of that fight, you know. But I don't know about that. All right, sliding through the card. We got some more chicks throwing down in the strawweight division. Livinha Souza taking on Ashley Yoder. The Brazilian gangster taking on the Spider Monkey. You know, this is a tough pick right here, in my opinion. Both these girls, not to throw too much shade at them, but I think this is a little bit of lower level, unreliable type of fighters. You know, Souza's coming off a tough loss where she made Brianna Van Buren look like a beast, like a future title challenger. And then we saw what just happened with Brianna against Tisha Torres. You take a look. Other than that, though, you know, she was on a 4-fight win streak. She had a close fight with Angela Hill, which, you know, Angela Hill is legit. You know, she's very, you know, the way I can describe the Brazilian gangster, man, is she walks in there, she's slow. She thinks she is really tough. You know, she knows that. She'll eat a lot of shots. She tries to walk her opponent down, and doesn't look good on the judges' scorecards. And you know, just overall kind of slow in there, man. Van Buren just put a complete clinic on her, made her look like she was in slow motion. Ashley Yoder, the Spider Monkey, is a perfect name for her. That's definitely the way she fights. Pretty good jiu-jitsu. You know, I like her jiu-jitsu. She can slap on an arm bar and all that, you know, all that type of stuff. I believe she is a southpaw. She has that unorthodox kind of wiry type of striking. You know, she can connect with some 1-2s and whatnot. And training over there at Team Quest, coming off a tough loss to Randa Marcos. Randa Marcos is a tough outing. But if you look at her resume overall, I mean, who has she beat? She beat Amanda Cooper in a split decision. I mean, Angela Danzig, the wife or girlfriend of Mac Danzig, she took Jody Escobar out in a split decision. Jody Escobar, the wife of Keith Jardine. You got all these females that are married to UFC fighters or ex-UFC fighters. But these are not big names. These are not very skilled opponents. And then you see what happens to her, you know, inside here. She did have a decent outing against Mackenzie Dern, though. I'm going to go with Souza. I think the fight's really close, but I'm going to go with Souza. You see her here taking a shot from Van Buren. I don't feel really confident in this pick at all. I think it can go either way. Take a look at Ashley Yoder. I wouldn't be surprised if Ashley comes out and pulls the fight off. You know, as far as value goes, take a look at Ashley Yoder there for you guys. As far as value goes, Ashley Yoder around plus 125. I don't even know if that's really solid value. You know, if you like the fight, I could see you guys going either way with it. I don't feel confident for either of these girls. I think they're unreliable. So, but I'm gonna go with the Brazilian gangster. See maybe if she has a fire lit under her. You know, coming off that beating, maybe she steps it up and she gets a victory. All right. Now, these fights are going to start getting really good, man, here towards the top of the card. So be prepared, man. We got some nice breakdowns coming at you guys. This fight right here was thrown onto the card last minute, I believe like a week ago. Jim Miller versus Vinc Pichel. Excellent matchup, man. Two crafty veterans. And although they're veterans, they kind of went about their careers in a very different way. It's kind of funny. You take a look at Vinc Pichel, right? Vinc Pichel is 37 years old. He's actually older than Jim Miller. He only has 14 professional bouts, where Jim Miller has what? He's 30, what is that? 46 bouts, is it? And, you know, Jim Miller has 46 professional bouts. He has way more fights in the UFC. Vinc Pichel, you know, he came from the Ultimate Fighter. He's just, I don't know what was going on with him. He just really never got that many fights, man. And I think he's a really tough customer, man, Vinc Pichel. It's funny, both these guys have a mutual opponent in Roosevelt Roberts, who they both just defeated Jim Miller, man, with the big upset that night, taking out Roosevelt. And I thought Roosevelt Roberts made a horrible mistake going to the ground with him. That was a fight that if he would have just waited till they got a little bit more sweaty and slippery, he could have just avoided the sub, and he could have put a clinic on Miller on the feet, in my opinion. Horrible fighter IQ right there. And then, at least the Vinc Pichel fight, Vinc Pichel actually just worked him. He grinded him out. I was there for that fight, saw the fight live. And that was another fight where Vinc Pichel was a big dog. And I told you guys, Vinc Pichel could easily take that fight. And, I met Roosevelt Roberts the night before, the day before the fight. I have a picture with him on my Instagram. I was talking with him. Nobody was outside the arena. It was pretty cool. I saw him the day of weigh-ins. He was with his girl and his kid and whatnot. He's a cool dude. But you know what? Back to this fight. Vinc Pichel, I think Vinc Pichel, even though he's older, he has less damage on him, less wear and tear. Jim Miller is a guy, don't get it twisted. I know you guys like that. Don't get it twisted, huh? Don't get it twisted. Even though Jim Miller has had a little bit of a resurgence in his career, coming off the victory against Roosevelt Roberts and Clay Guida, Jason Gonzalez, he was taking out these lower level guys, proving that he was on a different level. Jason Gonzalez, Alex White. Vinc Pichel is a guy that is on the level. He's a very tough, real UFC caliber type of fighter. And Vinc Pichel is going to be in Jim Miller's face. I think that he's crafty enough to avoid this submission. And I think this fight's going to go, it's going to take place for a while. In regards to Vinc Pichel not getting subbed. I don't know if Jim Miller will survive. He's a tough customer too, but Vinc Pichel maybe puts a stoppage on him. There was a couple fights, man. I mean, I know that it was against top level competition here, but Jim Miller, I remember him going back to his corner in between rounds, and he was like, "I don't have it. I'm gassed out." He was saying all these types of things. I don't believe he was contemplating retirement, but he was just kind of in a weird state of mind, and I do question that at times. Vinc Pichel is just he's a tough customer. I like Vinc Pichel. I like Jim Miller a lot too. I'm a big fan of Jim Miller, and I'm kind of annoyed here because I kind of want to go with Jim Miller. As I said, I'm a big fan of his, but my heart kind of tells me Vince is going to win this fight. And I'm going to take Vinc Pichel to win this fight. Take a look at the line. So it's a pick'em, so you can go either way in this fight. Vinc Pichel, just less damage over the years. He's taken less damage over the years. I think he's a little bit more of the fresher fighter. He's really taken his time with his career. The loss to Gregor Gillespie. Gregor Gillespie's a stud. No real shame in that loss. He looked great against Roosevelt Roberts. And that was a fight where he really dominated Roosevelt Roberts in the later rounds, where I do believe that Jim Miller just caught that sub early. And if the fight would have took place longer, I think Roosevelt would have took that fight. I think Vinc Pichel is the way to go here. Again, though, if you look at Jim Miller's losses, they are all to very high caliber fighters. So it's tough. It's tough. How you look at this fight, either one way or the other. It's a tough way to really spin it and make a decision. But I'm taking Vince. I'm taking Vinc Pichel to win the fight. With this next fight, man, I'm excited for this next fight. All right. Magomed Ankalaev taking on Ion Cutelaba. This is the rematch for those of you guys that remember. This was a major play of mine the first time this fight came around. I had Magomed Ankalaev. Of course, it was the questionable stoppage, right? Some people thought it was a questionable stoppage. Kind of was, and I agree with that. I'm not going to say it wasn't. Cutelaba was kind of out in his feet, but he really... I guess I shouldn't say he was out on his feet. He got hurt on the feet. He was wobbled, but he was kind of playing possum because you saw as soon as the fight got stopped, he looked right at the referee and he was completely coherent. And he's an extremely tough dude. Look at the size of his skull, man. This guy looks like a human pit bull. I'm a big fan of his too. I like both these guys. But I'm on Magomed again. I think Magomed Ankalaev has potential light heavyweight championship written all over the guy. Excellent grappling credentials. The striking is really coming around as well. You see him, he's around a minus 300 here. And another thing I want to talk about. So Ion Cutelaba, one of his more impressive fights as of recently was against this guy right here, Antigulov. And as you guys have been seeing recently, Antigulov is not on the level. That guy has horrible cardio. He fades immediately. He's a powerful grappler, but then he lasts about a minute. And in that fight, he kind of put his name on the map. But now you see guys like Paul Craig going out there, finish Antigulov in the first round. It was a pick of mine too, Paul Craig, who was a dog with the time I made my selection. A lot of money came in on him. But, and then you see him, losing to Glover Teixeira, who's obviously a stud. And he took out Khalil Roundtree. Khalil Roundtree could be a little bit flaky at times, you know, the very skilled striker, but he's a little flaky. And then, you know, here was the fight that he lost to Magomed. Magomed Ankalaev, on the other hand, you know, this is a guy that should be undefeated, 14-0, dominating every single opponent that he fights. He dropped the ball against Paul Craig. He was putting a clinic on Paul Craig. If you guys didn't remember that fight, got subbed with 1 second left in the fight. Paul Craig threw on a Hail Mary triangle from bottom. And, you know, Paul Craig is a very skilled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. I'm telling you guys. He's very underrated because he's from Scotland or whatever, man. His BJJ is nasty. The way he works the guard is nasty with his long limbs. So, you know, he got subbed, he made a mistake, and he learned from it, and now he's came back, and he's been destroying guys. How about the Dolce fight? Destroyed Dolce, took out Klidson Abreu, Marcin Prachnio, and I think he's going to pull off another victory against Ian Cutelaba here. And you see Cutelaba is trying to tell him here that, you know, he was still in it. I guess he's pointing at his chin, and he's saying, my chin was still there. I'm not out. I'm still coherent. And Ankalaev was just, you know, he was really chill about the whole situation, you know what I mean? He handled it in a good way, man. He was a class act. He just said, okay, you know, I didn't stop the fight, or, you know, whatever he was trying to say. You could read his body language, you know? And I think Magomed goes out there and he gets another victory. That's what I think, man. The line's right around -300. It's a high line. It's a little bit higher than it was the first time around. I believe I grabbed him right around like 240 or something like that, 250, 260. So, you know, people were able to see them scrap the first time, and you could take what you want from it. You can infer what you want from the first bout. But Magomed is the real deal. I'm telling you guys. So Magomed and Ankalaev is my selection to win the fight. All right. What do we got over here? We got John Dodson taking on Merab Dvalishvili. It's a good fight here. Merab, a lot of guys like to call this guy Mini Khabib from the clinic he's been putting on his previous opponents as of recently. Working the grappling, the ground and pound. He's relentless with the takedowns. You stuff the first takedown, he's going to keep coming. He's going to keep coming. He's going to try to get a takedown. He's probably going to get it. John Dodson. You guys know the deal with John Dodson. You know, John Dodson made a name for himself on The Ultimate Fighter. He actually won the Ultimate Fighter show. In my opinion, one of the worst early stoppages we've ever seen against TJ Dillashaw. I would have loved to see that fight take place. I was a major TJ Dillashaw fan on that show. Speaking of The Ultimate Fighter, because in regards to that Ultimate Fighter finale, you guys know there's been a lot of rumors. Hopefully that show is going to be picking up soon. And you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Every show that happens usually tend to gravitate towards one fighter on the show, right? At least that's how me and my boys used to do it. We'd all pick our fighter, whoever you kind of felt like you related to the most, or whatever you saw the most potential with. TJ Dillashaw was my guy on that show. I thought that he was robbed in that fight. I would have loved to see that fight take place a little bit longer. He got wobbled, but he was completely there. It wasn't as bad as the Triple C fight. You know, the Triple C fight might have been a little early too. With the Triple C fight, he was hurt a little bit worse. But the point being is that John Dodson still does, you know, he have some nasty striking. He's quick and he could tag you, and especially when he was young. You know, he is getting a little bit up there in age, but he still has that quickness. You know, we saw him in the Petr Yan fight, man. He looked good at times against Petr Yan, but I think that we're starting to realize that's just how Petr Yan fights. He starts off a little slow, and he's just extremely tough, and he's going to break you down. You know, in that fight, Dodson was using good footwork. He was looking good at times, but Petr Yan just put it on him. You gotta love his tenacity, man. I remember he was pulling John Dodson's hair in there and whatnot. You see the difference in Dodson's haircut through the years. Should have kept it like that, because Yan definitely was pulling his hair too, man. A couple of times, but you gotta love that animal, bro. And Yan, man, he was just taking him down, just beating the crap out of him. He didn't care about none of that. He had to go in there and just terminate him, and that's all he was on. It's just whatever it took, just to destroy him and mentally mess with his mind and just run through him. But Dodson did look good at times in that fight. Just to touch upon that again, if that's a 5-round fight, it just goes worse and worse though for Dodson. Which shout out to Petr Yan, man, the champion. Good luck to anybody that has to go 5 rounds with him. You better take him out early, because in the 4th and 5th round he's going to be coming hard as hell, man. But Dodson, a very skilled striker. You know, Dodson's route to win this fight is to use his footwork. He has to stuff the takedown and pick apart Merab from the outside. Merab Dvalishvili, in my opinion, has underrated striking as well. His striking is coming around. Extremely fit, man. Look at him, the machine. But you know, Merab is gonna have to get some takedowns here. He's got to get some takedowns up against the cage. He has to work some ground and pound. It'll look good for the judges' scorecards. I think that we'll see Dodson on his back foot, circling around the cage. You know, counter striking. So you know, it's gonna look better for the judges, in my opinion. In regards to Merab, if it goes to decision, Merab will be the aggressor here. But again, if you're not getting those takedowns and Dodson stuffing those takedowns, that doesn't look good either. But Merab's going to be in his face, and you know, I got Merab here. Merab is just a beast of a man. I think this guy has a lot of potential, a lot of potential, and has some solid training partners. You know, I remember when COVID, this whole situation started with COVID. You know, he was just training with Aljamain over here. Him and Aljo were just doing their thing together. And you see him rocking the black hat. It's kind of like the Venom to Khabib, right? He has like the black, whatever you want to call that. I forget the name of it. I forget the name, it's slipping my mind. But either way, he's like the Venom to Khabib. And it's funny because they got different, they got similar fighting styles. And you see the crew over here, up in the Northeast, doing their thing, man. You got some savages out there. Aljo is a beast, and like I said, he's, you know, they're sharpening their iron together, these two in particular right here. So Merab is the real deal, and I'm going with Merab to win this fight. John Dodson can knock out anybody at any given time. That's always an X factor. So, you know, keep an eye on that as well. But Dvalishvili probably to win a decision. I believe Dvalishvili probably wins the decision. And see how these guys match up real quick one more time. As far as their physique goes, you know, fight taking place in the bantamweight division. 3-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage for the Sarah Jiu-Jitsu product, Merab Dvalishvili. All right, we got the big boys throwing down. The heavyweight bout of JDS taking on Jairzinho, Rozenstruik. Super excited for this fight. Junior Dos Santos has been looking amazing. Take a look at Junior here. He looks to be in amazing shape, man. He is definitely taking this fight very seriously. You could tell that he knows what Rozenstruik brings to the table. I don't think he wants to be knocked out again. You know, of course, Junior Dos Santos has been getting put to sleep a little bit as of recently over the last couple years. You know, Rozenstruik coming in with a 1-inch reach advantage. Both of these guys stand at 6'4". And I'll tell you, this is how I see this fight going down. I'll make it simple before I go a little bit more in depth in it. JDS needs to avoid being knocked out. He needs to work the boxing. I think JDS can easily win a decision if he doesn't get knocked out. You know, we saw Rozenstruik get pretty much picked apart by Alistair Overeem on the feet until Rozenstruik got that knockout with seconds left. I think this fight's going to play out very similarly. JDS needs to use his boxing, his footwork, and I think he'll be a lot more technical and he'll have good volume. But one shot from Jairzinho, JDS is sleeping, right? So plus 130, you can get plus 130 odds on JDS. Jairzinho coming in at minus 160. Maybe you take a look at that prop bet of Jairzinho getting the knockout. Maybe, you know, if you get a little bit better of a line. I mean, that's the way he's going to win the fight, in my opinion. I don't really see him winning a decision, so that's probably what you want to do there. And then, you know, if you want some value, you want a value play, I mean, plus 130 on JDS, you know, there was a point in time where I was thinking about picking JDS, but I'm not going to pick JDS, man. I got Jairzinho Rozenstruik by knockout. I think he's going to get it done. Of course, he is coming off a brutal knockout against Francis Ngannou, but, you know, that was what it was. You know what I mean? Both those guys went at each other, and that punch didn't even actually hit, barely. You know, of course, Francis Ngannou just kept coming forward, threw about like 6-7 punches, and it just took that one shot against the cage slept him. You know, but you see Jairzinho here taking out Alistair Overeem with that beautiful. He has this weird unorthodox type of kickboxing too. Not the most typical kickboxing style you see. You know what I mean? He's unorthodox. I think he catches these guys off guard. You know, he caught Overeem with this funky step in punch, and you know, I could see him catching Junior Dos Santos with something like that. Junior Dos Santos, man, what a legend JDS is too, by the way. JDS is a true stud. You know, think about how dangerous he was back in the day, man, in his prime. Remember when he knocked out Cain Velasquez in the first fight? People are like, oh my God, this guy is the truth. And he's over here, man. This is not far from me at all. I know this neighborhood. And yeah, JDS is right down the block. Putting in time over at American Top Team. One of the best teams on planet Earth in regards to mixed martial arts and fighting. So that's always a good thing, putting in work with guys like that, you know. But, you know, I don't know what his team could do for the chin. You know, hopefully they took it easy on him as far as training goes and he wasn't taking too much damage. He has to keep settling that chin, and he needs to be very, very careful in there. He needs to kind of implement a game plan similar to what we see with Alistair Overeem, man. Really be on the back foot circling. He has to be very, very patient. Just pick apart Rozenstruik from the outside and move around, try to work the jab. And he can easily win the fight like that. But one shot and Jairzinho is putting him to sleep. So the pick is definitely Jairzinho here for me. See him over here. Just that one setback, man, against Francis Ngannou. And let's not forget, he's been putting everybody to sleep in devastating fashion, right? Let's not forget about that. All right, man. Here we are, boys. The co-main event and the main event. I'm super excited for both these bouts. But we're going to start with the co-main event. Sean Sugar O'Malley taking on Marlon Chito Vera. Sugar Sean coming in with a 1.5 inch reach. And he's coming in 3 inches taller than Chito Vera. Chito Vera is 2 years older. And Chito Vera is very underrated in my opinion. I think he's a tough outing for anybody. Marlon Chito Vera is coming off a victory. I don't care what anybody says. I thought he did enough to win against Yadong Song. I picked Yadong Song to win, but no action on it. And then, you know, I call it how I see it. So not everybody is going to agree with me. I know some of you guys get upset when I talk about robberies or this and that. I'm not saying it was a robbery, but I thought Marlon Chito Vera won the fight, period. You know, I sat right here at the Penny Bar. I was watching the whole fight. I think I had a fight companion going. I might not have, actually. But I watched the entire fight but here by myself. I think I did some Instagram stuff, and I was like, Marlon Chito Vera won that fight. So, you know, if you give him that fight, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in a row. You know, his losses back in 2018, you know, back then he was so young and green, fighting crafty guys like John Lineker and Douglas Andrade. You know, now he's on a different level, extremely well-rounded. And I think he has potential to win this fight. I do think he has potential to win this fight. He's a very well-rounded fighter. Look at him getting down to business over here. The striking is there. I mean, he can knock anybody out. He's been working on his grappling. He always comes in great shape. He's a very tough customer. In my opinion, I do believe he's boys with Dana White and all those guys. A lot of those guys that all hang out. So if you ever kind of wonder, or I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but Marlon Chito Vera, not that he doesn't deserve it, but he gets good treatment from the UFC. I think he's boys with a lot of those guys. If you follow him on Instagram, he's kind of cool with all those dudes. But he deserves it, whatever he gets anyway. He's a stud of a fighter. And then we got Sugar Sean O'Malley. Look at this. Thinks he already took Chito out over here. Knocked his head backwards. Sugar Sean O'Malley is probably going to be one of my favorite fighters in the game moving forward. You know, Conor McGregor is not as active these days. And maybe you're going to see me with the Sugar Sean O'Malley poster up in the studio once I get that going, because this guy is just an amazing fighter. He's really, you know, transcending the game. He's implementing all these new type of strikes that you really never seen. I mean, how about that spinning back fist to a head kick? I mean, you don't see guys throwing stuff like that. You know, he has that octagon set up in that warehouse, so he's putting in his work over there. This is his last sparring. Getting in some of his last sparring before the fight here. Now, remember this fight. Keep an eye on this fight, man. I mean, he got injured. You know, that could happen at any time. But that was a fight against Andre Sukumtat that he should have lost. And Andre Sukumtat just didn't know what he was doing. All he had to do was stand up and just throw a couple leg kicks. But he really dropped the ball there. But this guy, Sean O'Malley, is just, he's so exciting on the feet, man. And he's so rangy and just, he's so skilled. I don't know who's going to take this guy out on the feet. And I don't think Marlon Chito Vera is the guy to do it. You know, you guys heard what I had to say about Marlon Chito Vera. I'm very high on him. But this fight's most likely going to take place on the feet. And I'm going to give the edge to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, if Marlon Chito Vera is smart, I think he's going to try to I don't even want to say exposed, because I really believe that that Sean O'Malley has underrated grappling. So I don't think that's the case. But Chito Vera is going to want to try to show if there's some type of hole in Sugar Sean O'Malley's grappling. But I don't believe it. I think that this kid is going to be he's going to prove to have a very good grappling. I know his grappling coach is one of the best BJJ practitioners on planet Earth, and he's constantly rolling with him, putting in time with him on the mats. And you know, if you see the interviews, he's always praising his jiu-jitsu coach and his head coach, who was one of his best friends, Timbo. He's what's his name? Tim Welch. What's his name over there? I forgot his name. You know, he was a guy that fought on The Ultimate Fighter a long time ago, and has a lot of knowledge of the MMA game. See if I can pull up his boy over here. I think it's his name, right? Tim Welch, right? You know, got him tagged, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And yeah, actually, you know, the UFC game is coming out this week, and somebody was telling us on the Fight Companion that people were complaining that they created Sugar Sean O'Malley with that same fro. People were complaining, so they fixed it up. They got him with the cornrows now. And you know, he's going to be one of the most exciting guys to play with in that game. I'm going with Sugar Sean O'Malley. The line is a little bit high, but if you can never grab Sean O'Malley or in the minus 300s nowadays, I don't know. Maybe you're capitalizing on some free money there, or some nice easy money. He's so skilled, and you might be catching you know, a true stud in the game early before he starts really stringing off these victories like crazy. He might be a guy that steps in there every time right around minus 500, minus 600. You know, might be the future champion of the division. Time will tell in regards to all that. Of course, I got Sean O'Malley. I would not be shocked, though, if Chito shocks the world, because I think it would be kind of a shock to the rest of the world. A lot of people are high on Sean O'Malley, and they don't even see Chito coming. But I got Sean O'Malley all day. All right, here we go, boys. We made it to the main event. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This fight, in my opinion, is such a big fight. You know, this has implications for, you know, who's the heavyweight champion, who was the best heavyweight champion of all time, which I think Stipe pretty much solidified that already, but he has to win this fight to really put a stamp on it. If he loses it, it's going to drop him back probably to DC. You know, he would have lost 2 of the 3 fights. Stipe Miocic, the only man to ever defend the heavyweight championship 3 times, got caught by DC early in the first fight that they threw down. You see, this is them engaging in the first fight, and DC did catch him with that weird little inside hook on the temple, a little unorthodox type of strike, dropped him, just hit him on the button. Of course, after that, Stipe took over in that later rounds. I want to talk about this previous fight they just had, man, because I've been putting a lot of time into that fight, because I think that really shows more how this fight's going to play out. So here's the thing. Stipe, a lot of people were saying DC was dominating that fight until he got caught. I disagree. I disagree with that a lot. DC definitely was winning some of he won the first round. I believe he won was it the second or the third? But no, the second. I think Stipe was taking over from the third round, even before he started throwing that hook, man. He started to start landing on DC, and the recipe's there. Now he knows about that left hook to the liver. I think he's going to start throwing that early. DC's going to try to walk up on Stipe, you know, putting his hands, how he was doing that second fight, walking up, just reaching for him all recklessly, like, you know, not intimidated by Stipe. I think now Stipe is going to make him pay for that. He knows how to do it. Just rip the liver shot. It's going to stop him in his tracks from walking forward. Throw the 1-2. Stipe should be sitting on the outside, throwing that 1-2 all day. DC has a great poker face. You know, he doesn't really show when he's hurt, but he was hurt in that fight well before he got finished. And what an amazing knockout by Stipe there. You know, you see the knockout here, and even a little dance, a little Irish jig or whatever you want to call it. And this is how I see the fight going down. I think that Stipe, I think that DC needs to get an early knockout on Stipe. Or I do think that Stipe is going to take over this fight again. DC has just gotten older. I mean, he might be coming in better shape. He might be really motivated after coming off that loss. But if you want to talk about who's in real good shape, Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic is in the best shape that I've ever seen him. He seems so focused on this fight, man. I'm picking Stipe Miocic to win the fight. After he wins this fight, he'll be the best heavyweight that's ever done it. He'll be the baddest man on the planet once again, or he is the baddest man on the planet right now. coming off the victory of DC. He'll maintain that status, and I think he's pushing for a spot on Mount Rushmore in regards to MMA. You want to talk about the baddest heavyweight of all time? I think that's you have a good argument when you're the baddest heavyweight that's ever done it. I think you have a good argument to be on Mount Rushmore. Of course, there's some big names you'd be arguing to put him up there with, to try to fit him in there. But GSP, Anderson Silva, John Jones, Khabib. But, Stipe's trying to push for a spot up there, and he has to get a finish or get a victory over DC, and then I think he has to win a couple more fights. Hopefully he doesn't retire. I don't think he will retire. I don't think that he will. A guy that comes in so motivated to this fight, even if he takes a little bit of time off, 37 years old, but, say he goes out there, gets a knockout. I think that he'll be back maybe for 1 or 2 more fights, potentially. Maybe he will retire. DC, on the other hand, I think this is his last fight. 41 years old. We've talked about it. His kids are talking to him about, hey, why are you still fighting? They hate to see him get hurt and this and that. And I think DC's really getting up there in age, and he already has such a solid job with the company, one of the best commentators in the game. And, if DC can get a victory, what a way to retire. Off a loss, maybe he tries to jump back in there and take somebody out, but I think he's probably done. And, this is the trilogy. I wanted to touch upon this too. This is, some website writes an article, the 10 greatest trilogies in MMA history. I don't agree with the order on this, but nevertheless, here are some of the best trilogies. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira versus Heath Herrig. Remember Heath Herrig? He got rid like a horse by Brock Lesnar. Fedor versus Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. Some old school pride action for you. Forrest Griffin versus Tito Ortiz. Some good fights. Shinya Aoki versus Joachim Hansen. Remember Joachim Hansen, man? The guy fighting out of Norway. He was a tough customer. I always wanted to see him enter the UFC. Never did. And now we're talking our language. GSP versus Matt Hughes. Of course, GSP won 2 of the 3. And Sam Stout versus Spencer Fisher. All very entertaining fights. Gilbert Melendez versus Josh Thompson. Very entertaining fights. This is my best trilogy I've ever seen. Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard. All epic fights. Frankie Edgar just showed to have so much heart. If you guys haven't watched those fights, watch all of them. Chuck Liddell versus Randy Couture. We're talking big time trilogy here. And I don't know how the hell they have Rampage Jackson and Vanderlei. I mean, I know the first couple fights were good, but the last one was stupid, man. I mean, you're talking about these guys, they're so old, they're coming in, overweight and whatnot, but whatever. Another classic trilogy fight. And now you got to have Stipe Miocic versus DC at number 1, in my opinion. I mean, you're talking about the 2 best heavyweights to ever do it, clashing heads. They're so evenly matched. And you take a look at the betting line, dead even basically. And I have Stipe Miocic to win the fight, and I think he probably gets the stoppage again late, or maybe a little bit earlier if he works that body shot even earlier. Wouldn't be surprised if DC gets a knockout as well, though. So, yeah. All right. That's going to wrap up the fight prediction video. I appreciate all you guys. If you could, please like this video. Like I said, if we get it to 500 likes, I'll throw out a free pick to you guys. Otherwise, if you're interested in my plays, reach out to me through email, MMAfortuneteller@gmail.com, or through Instagram, MMAfortuneteller_. Shoot me a DM. I'm also on Twitter, not there too often, the MMA Teller. And MMA live discussion will be taking place Thursday, so I'll have a little bit more knowledge upon these fights. Of course, every day, there's little things that leak out, and you get a little bit more insight into each of these fights. And I'll know even more, as the week takes place, see if anything changes, and we'll hopefully have a solid guest coming for you guys. And this Thursday, sorry for the technical difficulties I had this past Thursday with Matt Frivola. If you guys haven't seen that video, check it out. Matt Frivola, a really cool dude, and should be some new fight news coming out on him soon. I'm waiting to see who he's matched up against. I'm excited for that. And also his teammate Billy Quarantillo, very tough guy that had COVID, who's coming off an impressive victory against that ginger dude who's very tough. And we'll see who Billy's matched up against, and we'll get those guys in the show, hopefully moving forward again and again. Shout out to all them. Shout out to Matt Frivola. And yeah, but we'll get all the technical difficulties ironed out, so the show, I'll be able to see your guys' comments, and it'll be a little bit smoother this upcoming Thursday. And I have some really exciting potential guests on the show coming to the show this Thursday, so join me 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. The Fight Companion will be going down this upcoming Saturday for the main card. You guys got to tune in for the Fight Companion for this one. I mean, this is the card to do it. It's going to be going down for the main card. And but I would love for you guys to join me. I'll be at the penny bar here, and I'm gonna have a lot of action on this card. I see some spots here. I'm gonna have a lot of action. If you guys are interested, reach out to me. I'm telling you, we're gonna have a lot of action on this card, and it's gonna be a really good event for the teller. All right, boys. So on that note, and I'm gonna get to it. All you guys have an amazing week, man. Make this a productive week going into this fight card. You know, make sure you guys are working on your health, eating healthy, getting your workouts in, getting that vitamin D, soaking up the sun, grinding. You know, if you're working, man, you're being safe out there, and you know, hustling, man, and just overall making your life a better life, right? And hopefully all you guys are doing good out there. And shout out to all you guys, man. I appreciate all you guys tuning in each and every week. So much love to all you guys. And on that note, signing out, the teller.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller. The teller.